Good morning, dear students. Yesterday in the lecture, we discussed some of the very important tags of HTML. For example, we discussed the structural elements like headings, paragraphs. We discussed what are the various elements which are used for formatting. For example, you've been given two different type of formatting tags, physical and logical. So how they can be used and how you can apply them in your web page. Then we discussed one of the very important HTML tag, that is font, and we discussed its attributes like color, size and face. Now in today's class we will be discussing a very important topic related to tags. These are HTML lists. Now what are lists? For example, you probably had gone to a restaurant where you've been given a menu card. Now, in that menu card, you would have seen a list of items which you can order. Now, in order to make that kind of list to appear on your web page, you need to use list in HTML. So, what are lists? Now, when we talk about list, HTML offers web authors three ways of specifying list of information, and all lists must contain one or more list elements. The list may contain, or the list can have, an unordered type. For example, in Word, if you are working in Microsoft Word, you had seen two options. One is bullets, another is numbering, where bullet means you have a specific symbol which you can place in front of your text to say that this is an item or this is an element of the list. So when we are using bullets, then the list is known as unordered list. Similarly, we can number our list, for example 1, 2, 3, 4 or A, B, C, D. So if you are using numbers or you are using values to specify a list, then that list is known as ordered list. And then the last one is DL, which is called definition or description list, and it works in the way that you want to define a term, you use definition list for. So this arranges your item in the same way as they are arranged in a dictionary. So we'll see these lists one by one. So the very first list type is unordered list, means we will be specifying bullets or symbols before our text to specify a given type of list. So what is an unordered list? It is a collection of related items that have no special order or sequence, and this is created by using UL tag. So unordered list, the list is created by using a paired tag UL, and each of the list in the item is marked with a specific bullet or symbol. Every list item which you want to use within your page, which comes under unordered list, will start with LI tag, list item tag. These list items are marked with bullets. For example, you can use small black circles by default, which are popularly known as disk. So if we are using bulleted list, there are four types in HTML. Disk, which is a small black filled circle. We have another bulleted list type which is called circle. It is an empty circle. Then we have a square. It will create an empty square, and then we have none. So these are the four different type of bulleted lists or unordered list. Now, in order to change a given bullet style, we will be using type attribute, and type attribute is no longer supported in HTML5. And if we want to change the list style, we'll be using CSS for that. So we'll discuss CSS once we are through with our HTML section. So I'll show you one example. For example, I want to show all the topics which we will be studying in a scripting language subject. I'll be using UL, and it is a paired tag. So if I'm using UL, I'll be inserting all my content within UL open and close tag. Now within this UL tag, I'll be using different list items. So this is HTML, this is Java. So this is my list item 1, this is list item 2, this is list item 3, and so on. So the number of elements you want to display within your list, they will be given in separate li element. So again, let's check one example. Let's prepare one example. So I'll be opening my notepad. Sorry. And I'll be writing a small piece of code just to display my list. So my page starts with HTML. Okay, head is not compulsory. If you want to use, you can place it. Otherwise, you can skip it also. If you are not using any specific say element, for example title you are not using, you are not giving meta information, then you can use, or then you can avoid head section. So I'll be writing only body section now, and within this body section, let's say I want to use, or I want to display scripting languages. This is my subject name, and I want to display a list of elements within this text. So I'll be using UL, and within this UL I'll be writing li, my first element, and within this I can write HTML, and then I have to close this. Now similar to this, I'll write the rest of the elements. You can place as many li as you want. For example, I'll be writing CSS, JavaScript, PHP, and so on. Then I'll be closing this UL tag. So I'll be using /UL. After that, I'll close the body tag, as well as the HTML tag. Again, I'll save my page. So this will be list. Okay, I want to use unordered list, so I'll be writing u list dot html. Dot html is required, otherwise it will be saved as text document. And then I'll be writing all files. I'll save my page. Now this is my file which I created. I'll open it with Chrome. Now why I'm using Chrome? Chrome is a lightweight browser and it will display the contents very properly. So this is how we will be using Chrome browser. Now you can see the content. It says scripting language, and these are the content of my unordered list. And you can see a disk, a circular disk in front of all these elements or items. So this is an unordered list. Now if I want to change the type of bullet, I'll be using type attribute followed by, let's say if I want to use it circle, I'll be writing type equals to circle, and then I'll refresh my page. You can see it will become an empty circle. So by default, the bullet type for unordered list is disk, filled circle. You can change any of the style by changing the type attribute. Although type is no longer supported in HTML5, but as I told you, HTML supports backward rendering. So whenever we are placing any of the tag or attribute which is not of a latest version, then also backward rendering or display of content is possible. So this is how square will be shown. Now these are the different unordered list types which you can use. You can place any of the content. There is no specific order or sequence. For example, I can place one more here. Let's say I'll write li, then I'll write jQuery, and then I'll close my list. So this is how we can place any number of list items in my page. Now this is unordered list, right? So I had changed the type to circle as well as to square. Now the next type of list are called ordered list, and as the name says, they have a particular sequence or order in which the list elements or items are displayed. So what is an ordered list? This list starts with OL tag. Like UL list or unordered list started with UL tag, it will start with OL tag. Now each list item will start with LI tag as we had used it in UL tag. Now we can use ordered list to represent different items either in numerical order format or in alphabetical order format or in Roman numerals. So if I'm using numbers, this is my default format 1, 2, 3. So if I'll not specify type, 1, 2, 3 will be taken. Otherwise, I can specify Roman numerals in capital, in a small capital alphabet or small alphabet, right? So type attribute is used to change the numbering style. So now let's change our list to OL. I'll remove this type attribute from here and I'll close my list as OL. The same list which I prepared using UL, now I had changed the list type to OL. Now see, this will happen. It will change the default style from uh, it will change the style of the list from bullets to numbers, and default is 1 2 3 4 5. Now I want to change this type, so I'll be writing type equals to, if you want it to be in Roman numerals, then you have to write accordingly. If we want it in capital, I'll be writing the first element of my list and then I'll be refreshing the page. So this is how it will display in Roman numerals. Similarly, if I want to change it in alphabets, I'll be writing alphabets. Now every time you make any change, save your page and refresh the page. Now this is how alphabetical representation will be given. So this is how ordered list can be created. Now again, if I want to start my list from a specific element, for example, I had given type equals to 1 and I want to make my list to start from say 10, I'll be using another attribute which is start, and I'll be giving the value from which, or I will be giving the index from which I want to start my list from. So the type is 1 and I want to start my list from 10. So I'll save this page. Now again I'll refresh my page and you can see the difference. Now the list has started from 10 till the last list item. Now if I'll write here A will have a start value 1 if I want to start from A. So if I'll start from 10, then it will start from J. So the index value starts from 1 and at every index it will change the value. So if I'll write here Roman numeral, let's say it is a small, it will start from 10. So this is how you can use ordered and unordered list in your page. Now start attribute can only be used with OL. Can you tell me the reason why? It is because numberings are only given using ordered list. There are no sequence or order in case of unordered list. So we'll be using start attribute only with OL. And whatever type of list number you are using, whether alphabets, numbers, Roman numerals, the start value will always be numeric, which specifies the index of the element within the list, right? So this is our ordered list. Now this is something which I told you. I have to use a start attribute to use or to specify OL to start the list from a specific number. So I can use OL type equals to 1, start equals to 5, it will start from numeric value 5. If I'll write OL type I, it will start from 5, which means Roman uppercase value starting with 5th. So this is how we can use ordered list, right? This example I already had shown you. Now the last type of list is description list. What is the use of description list? It gives a list in terms of a definition and a term which needs a description. So what all tags we use? We use DL to define that we want to start description list. Within this description list, we will be nesting two more tags. One is DT, which stands for description term, the term which you want to define. And then we have DD tag, which describes each term. So what are these tags? DL, it defines description list. We have DT, which defines the data term which you want to explain. DD, which is the data definition or description which you want to use. Now this is how we will be using definition list. So let's say I want to define a list within my page. I'll be writing DL. Again, DL is a pair tag, DT is a pair tag, and if you had noticed, all the lists are block level tags. I had not used BR tag after scripting language, and the list is automatically placed to new line. So they are all block level tags. So I'll be using DL. Within this DL, I'll be using DT. For example, I want to define the term HTML. I'll be closing DT tag here. After the term, you will be giving the description using DD tag. So I'll be writing hyper text markup language. And then once I defined my term, I'll be closing the DD tag. Now one DL can have multiple DT or terms within it. So let's say another term which I want to define is CSS. I'll write this, then I'll close this DT tag. Again, if you have a term, you have to give a description also. So I'll be writing cascading style sheet, and then I'll be closing this DD tag as well. And once you are through with all the definition terms and their definitions, you'll be closing your DL tag as well. So I'll save my page, I'll refresh the content. Now you can see this is my first term and this is the description of my first term, and the first line is automatically indented from or with respect to the term. This is my second term. Again, the content is indented. So this is how you can use different type of list in HTML. We have three types of list. Ordered list, which defines an order or sequence of elements to be placed in the form of numbers, in the form of numbers, alphabets, or in the form of Roman numerals. Then you have unordered list where you can place your elements in the form of bullets, and then you have description list where you can define a term with respect to a list. So we have these three different type of list in HTML. Now in the next class we'll be discussing table tag, and I'll be giving you a small assignment based on all these things which we had discussed so far, right? So you will be getting one assignment based on list and based on different tags which we had discussed. So please note down your queries if you have any, and we will discuss those queries. Thank you, class.